Hi everyone, it's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's Belmont Day. I've got the races on the TV behind me, and excuse me. And I thought I'd take you forward. Still very interesting pattern that is evolving, and I'm starting with the European model today on tropicaltidbits.com. This was from this morning, and you can take a look and see we've got a weak trough here in the east that's pulling out, so that's going to allow the ridge to start to build very soon. If it lets me, there you go. And then we're going to have this deep trough out in the west. You can see it here coming onto the west coast. It's actually pretty evident on the satellite loop, and that rotation is obvious. I'll show you that in just a little bit, but this is all a setup here for what's going to be some hot weather over the next 3 days in the Northeast. I've been kind of talking about the fact that 3 days defines a heat wave of 90 plus. And used to be 5 days of 90. They changed it to 3. I don't know how many years ago. I never liked that. It just really, there's too many random groups of 3 days that you can get 90-degree temperatures, but everybody's kind of touchy now, so it all has to be taken to its natural Armageddon conclusion. If it was me, I like 5 days of 90 plus or 3 days of 95 plus. I think that would be ideal. And if you want to go and call it a super heat wave, at least for the New York area, if you get 3 days of 100 plus, which we do occasionally see 100-degree readings consecutively in some odd summers here and there. It's been a while, but it can happen. But it's not going to happen in this stretch. So when we look at the European, there's that ridge in the east as we go into Monday and Tuesday, and we have a trough coming down into Labrador and toward Newfoundland, and that is going to force a backdoor cold front through here Tuesday night, and that push is going to wind up going pretty far south eventually into Virginia. So that will cool things off by 10 to 15 degrees across the Northeast, and eventually down even into the northern portions of the mid-Atlantic states. The trough in the west is still there. You still have that ridge. You still have ridging up in the Great Lakes into central Canada. We're now into Wednesday, which is day 4, and we're going to roll it along. Now, eventually, we're going to have another trough form next weekend. You can see it here. This is going to bring a cold front through here, probably mean for some showers and thunderstorms here for Father's Day weekend at some point. And that trough actually strengthens during the week of June 19th. That upper low really strengthens out by day 10. So now the trough in the west is gone, and you've got a trough offshore, ridge inland in the west in the Rockies, and a trough in the eastern part of the United States. And this, I think, is fairly consistent with what we've been seeing with the models going forward. And I'll lay over the GFS from today, starting with the European. The European's day 10. The GFS has a slightly different look. It doesn't have as well developed a trough in the position the European has. It looks like it gets there a little later with a very strong trough in the eastern part of the United States at the end of that week of June 19th and swings it up offshore. And by the way, if you look here, right in there, that is actually the GFS's representation of a tropical system. You can see it here on day 9, and then moves up into the central Gulf Coast and gets picked up by that trough and gets eventually lifted up and ejected out to the northeast. And longer term after that, once it lifts out, we still have these systems coming into the Pacific. Looks like another ridge toward the end of the month in the east. I think these things are all going to be temporary. They're only going to last for a couple of days. So you'll get the odd day here and there. And in this particular instance, with what we're seeing for tomorrow into Tuesday, it's going to be 3 days of 90 plus. But as far as seeing 7, 8, 9, 10 days or more of 90-degree plus weather, that's just not in the cards. I want to go back to that tropical system, and I'm going to take the the Atlantic view here so we can take a look at how it evolves. And the thing is that the models have been showing this now for well over a week. So, now that we're inside the 10-day range, I still regard it as highly suspicious, but and dubious. But it's got a little bit of my attention. Toward the end of this week, there's a lot of disturbed weather across the Pacific tropics and into the southwestern Caribbean. You can see it here, and there's quite a bit of weather there. We also have lower than normal pressures going on across the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. So this would be possibly favorable conditions for tropical storm development, and indeed a rotation is indicated here by next Saturday and into the northwestern Gulf, northwestern Caribbean, which eventually moves out into the Gulf of Mexico and then on up into the Louisiana coast, across Florida, if you want to believe it, and then northeastward from there. So, that's this model's representation of it. Again, you have to be very careful to draw any conclusions of something this far in the long range. But, now that we're kind of inside the day, in day 7 here with something forming, and the fact that the models have been doing this now for well over a week has caught my, is starting to catch my attention just a little bit. And with respect to the European has it here. Also, same idea. This is for next Saturday. We get some kind of low pressure that develops in the northwest Caribbean that rides up into the western Gulf of Mexico early in the week of June 19th. So we'll see how this evolves over the next week or so as we move forward. Meanwhile, let's look at the weather across the United States. I'm going to just do the whole U.S. in one snapshot today because we're at that time of year where I don't necessarily need to break it down unless conditions warrant, which they eventually will. And let's take a look here at where we're going. First off, if you look out in the west, we've got that deep trough, so we're getting some rains and even some mountain snows up in the northwest and in the northern Rockies for Saturday and Sunday. And in fact, even Sunday afternoon, Sunday night into Monday, some snows into northwestern California and in through northeastern California and western Nevada as low pressure develops there in the northern Rockies. And it actually persists through Monday and into Tuesday. So that's a pretty nice little system here for this time of year, with rain and a substantial amount of rain being produced elsewhere in its path. And then after that, after the trough disappears, you get some action that comes into the northwest, but most of the west winds up going into kind of late spring, early summertime mode here. So there isn't too much that's going to be happening during the latter part of the month in the west, the way it seems. Now, let's back up and look at the east. And here we have this back door. So we've got this hot weather here coming in, with these westerly winds and a high off the mid-Atlantic coast. So we're going to burn up to a certain degree. And here's that back door by Tuesday night, by Tuesday evening. It's sitting right about there. And there's a bit of a warm front that comes in on the other side. So we'll just break it up here with these two little hash marks. But you've got a northeast wind north of the front. You've got a southwest to west wind to the south. So that front winds up dropping southward. It's a very shallow area of cool air. And what it winds up doing is it opens up a marine flow here during Wednesday, and really more Wednesday night into Thursday as a high builds down from eastern Canada and then off the coast of Maine on Thursday. So I'm thinking it'll probably be in the 70s through much of this area, though dry, and showers and thunderstorms ahead of the next cold front that's beginning to swing out of the Midwest and the Mississippi Valley. And then that pushes toward the East Coast for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can see, at least through Saturday, there's some showers and some thunderstorms, and even on Sunday. And then, of course, you start to see that tropical system come into play. A stronger front for early of the week of the 19th because of that deep trough that the models are forming in the eastern part of the United States. So that should bring down some nice, reasonably cool weather for this time of year. And then that goes out, and then the next front comes right behind it on the 22nd. And that brings through some showers and also some cooler air as high pressure comes down out of Canada and moves into the Great Lakes. So you know, we're going to see how this tropical system, if it winds up being something, as we move down the road. Let's look at the satellite loops for this afternoon, and we've got some little couple of pop-up showers beginning to show up on the radar as that hot air begins to take over. But as I said, it's been pretty much a beautiful day here in New Jersey and Long Island, and the Hudson Valley, and most of Connecticut. We've got a lot of clouds down in Central and South Florida. You have clouds up in the Northwest, and you've got the system riding the uppermost Midwest near northern Minnesota and Lake Superior. And out in the west, when we take a look, there's this trough here. You can see the rotation right there off the coast of Washington. So there's a nice little upper air storm there that's beginning to move inland along with a surface low. And you can see right there. Also, if you look, there's a little rotation right in there. There's kind of a weak little surface low there coming in off of California, moving northwestward with some clouds toward the area between Los Angeles and San Diego. It's a very small little system here, right in there. You can see it there. Probably more reflected aloft than at the surface, but very interesting here. You can see the outline of the trough very well right in there. Okay, and there's your upper low. And this is the trough as that ridge builds in the east. You know, you've got this trough that deepens in the west, and in comes your hot air. Okay, so let's finish off today. Just show you that the radar really isn't showing too much going on. We actually, let me just freshen this up, actually not even picking up on some of those sprinkles yet in the northeast. A few of them have been popping up on some of the local radars, very, very tiny specks, but we do have some downpours here going on through southern and central Florida today. Not too much happening as we go out to the west. A little bit of activity in parts of Arizona, and then you have that action up. You know, a lot of rain showers coming into the northwest from Northern California on up through Oregon and Washington, and spreading up into the northern Rockies. So the heat's on, and we will keep you abreast of how that plays out. Here's a quick look at weather conditions at 4 o'clock. The south-facing shorelines of Long Island are getting into the sea breeze action now with south-southwest winds, so temperatures are mostly in the 70s and even some 60s now along the shore. But notice it's in the middle to upper 80s across much of New Jersey, middle 80s across Pennsylvania, lower 80s in northeastern Pennsylvania and the Hudson Valley in Connecticut, and we've got upper 80s to near 90 degrees in a couple of spots as you head down into Maryland and through northern Virginia. All right, I hope you've enjoyed your Saturday, and hope your Sunday goes well too. It'll be a great beach day, so head out to the shore and make sure you use a lot of sunscreen and sunblock to keep from getting any kind of serious sunburn. The sun is at its highest point in the sky now, so you can burn up in a big hurry in a very, very short period of time. So just bear that in mind. And thank you for being here on my YouTube channel and taking the time to watch this 13-minute dissertation on weather conditions across the Northeast and the United States. And I appreciate it very much, all my subscribers. And if you're new, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is absolutely free. Just hit the little red subscribe button on the side. And of course, you can get all the latest website posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com, also on the Facebook page with the same name. And my name is spelled Joecio, F as in Frank, F as in Frank, I. And just put the meteorologist in front of it, and it'll take you right to my weather page. All right, folks, have a great day, and we'll talk to you on Sunday.